Therapeutics of corticosteroids. Case 1. A 24-year-old woman with systemic lupus erythematosus SLE presents to her primary care physician for follow-up. She is currently being managed with an oral glucocorticoid agents. So, as we discussed in the lecture, the SLE patient is taking glucocorticoids to prevent the inflammation. So, what is the first question? Mention the rationale underlying the use of glucocorticoids in the treatment of SLE. What is the use of glucocorticoids? Obviously, it is an anti inflammatory activity. Due to anti-inflammatory activity, the glucocorticoids are used in the treatment of SLE. Plus, second, it is having the immunosuppression activity. Because what do you mean by lupus? Lupus is the immune system attack its own tissues. So, due to two properties, the glucocorticoids are used in the management or treatment of SLE. What is the next question? Name the preferred glucocorticoids for treatment of this patient and justify your answer. Which is best? Now, we have seen there are many agents, but which is best? So here, prednisone are generally used. Justify. Prednisone is an immunosuppressant for the treatment of autoimmune disorder. It may decrease inflammation by reversing increased capillary permeability and suppressing polymorphonuclear neutrophil activity, that is PML activity, and this prednisone stabilizes lysosomal membrane and suppress lymphocyte and antibody productions. Generally, prednisone is commonly used corticosteroid in the management of SLE because it is also having in the available in the oral dose, and we know that for the dividation of the dose it will be easy. Alternate day therapy, it's an easy, so that's why the prednisone is preferred, and it is having the we can say intermediate acting prednisolone, not too short and not too high, so it is best one. List the four side effects of prolonged use of glucocorticoids. Just we discussed what is the side effects of the glucocorticoids. Iatrogenic Cushing syndrome, which is by the drug related, or we can say physician induced. Teratogenic, cataract, osteoporosis, hypercoagulability. Just we discussed in the lecture the side effect. If during the treatment course the patient developed appendicitis, inflammation of appendix, and surgical treatment is required, what is your recommendation about the dose of glucocorticoid agent used and why? Now, we discussed in the lecture, if the patient on the chronic glucocorticoid therapy, and when there is a, now here is the surgical treatment means severe trace. Surgical treatment means severe trace. So in the severe trace, increase the dose up to 10 folds for 48 to 72 hours during stressful conditions, because the SLE patient is a chronic patient, chronic use of the corticosteroid, and he's going to under the surgery. So surgery means severe stress. So we have to increase the dose up to 10 folds to avoid adrenal crisis. Here, what are the traits? Surgery, infection, acute illness, invasive medical procedure, trauma, all these cases should increase the dose, because adrenal crisis will occur when patient with chronic adrenal insufficiency do not receive adequate glucocorticoid replacement during stressful condition. Now, this patient is using the chronic prednisone. Prednisone should be the daily dose. At that time, we need we need to increase the dose up to 10 folds. Case 2, a 27-year-old diabetic man who is kidney transplant recipient and has been taking daily glucocorticoid drug prednisone for the past 2 months since his transplant. Okay. Mention the rationale underlying the use of glucocorticoid in these patients. Prednisone is an immunosuppression drug used to prevent the body from rejecting a transplanted organ. So, after the transplantation, generally the prednisolone is given. He is using for the last 2 months to avoid the rejection of kidney, which is transplanted organ. Name the side effect that may occur if the patient suddenly stop the prednisone, and how can you prevent and treat it, as we discussed in the lecture. The name of the side effect is adrenal crisis. It occurs when patient suddenly stop the prednisone or corticosteroids or glucocorticoids. How can we prevent? That's why there should be an advice to the patient: don't stop the medication suddenly. You should taper the dose of medication, or we can say gradual withdrawal of the corticosteroid, to give the chance for the pituitary to release the adrenocorticotropic hormone, as we discussed in the lecture. Or you can give alternate day therapy to give the chance to pituitary to release the adrenocorticotropic hormone, or supplementary therapy at the time of the trace. What is the treatment of adrenal crisis? As we discussed in the lecture, what happened in the adrenal crisis? There is an the shock and the hypotension. So how can we manage the shock and the hypotension? For the correction of the fluid, we need the normal saline and 5% dextrose solution if the patient is hypoglycemic. And the most important drugs, as we discussed, the IV hydrocortisone, or you can add fludrocortisone by tapering way. What is the effect of prednisone on the diabetic control in this patient? How can you manage? And we know that the glucocorticoids will causes rise in the blood sugar level. It will causes the hyperglycemia. How can we manage? Treated by the diet control and the we can use short acting insulin or rapid acting insulin before meal. Before meal, it is very important. Before meal, huh? That's why there is one term: no eat no treat. No eat no treat. Case 3, 42-year-old women with severe rheumatoid arthritis. Now, if you see this rheumatoid arthritis, it means that the dose should be given at the evening. Started to complain of increased joint pain and several attempts to control her symptoms with increased doses of the ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, and with the trial of another NSAIDs were not successful, and the decision was made to add corticosteroid to the regimen. Prednisone was started in the dose of 5 milligram daily, given in the morning. After the period of evaluation, the dose was increased to 10 milligram and then 15 milligram daily. At these doses, the patient's symptoms were tolerable at the dose of 15 milligram. Now, what is the first question? Mention the rationale of underlying use of glucocorticoids in these patients. Obviously, it is anti-inflammatory effect. Why was prednisone given to this patient in the morning? The dose given in the morning upon awaking to mimic the early morning rise in endogenous cortisol. Now, generally, as we discussed, in the morning, we need more amount of the cortisol to manage our stress. That's why the dose is given in the morning. What is the advantage of the alternate day therapy with corticosteroid, and the which steroids are unsuitable for alternate day therapy? Yes, good question. What is the advantage of alternate day therapy? To give the chance, remember, to give the chance, double the dose and give it every other day, to give the chance for the pituitary to release adrenocorticotropic hormone and to prevent the adrenal atrophy and sudden withdrawal symptoms, which is called as Addisonian crisis. So that's why alternate day therapy is good. Which steroid are unsuitable for alternate day therapy? Long acting steroids are unsuitable for alternate day therapy. Why? Because long acting steroid may act up to 24 hour, 36 hour. So it will not give the chance to the pituitary to release the adrenocorticotropic hormone. So that's why the long acting steroids should be not used in alternate day therapy. You have to use only short acting or intermediate acting, including prednisone, prednisolone. Plus, the case of rheumatoid arthritis, it's very important. If the patient is not getting benefit, the best way give at the dose is evening. So it will decrease the pain which occurs during the night time. Case 4, a 32-year-old lady with history of TB of suprarenal glands was presented to the outpatient clinic complaining of the weakness and the easy fatigability. Examination revealed underweight, thin lady, blood pressure was 70/50, hypotension, and the fasting blood glucose was 50, hypoglycemia. Provisional diagnosis of chronic adrenocortical insufficiency was made. What is the management plan? What is the management plan for this lady, and explain how can you monitor it? Now, the history of suprarenal glands, TB of the suprarenal glands. and she is having hypotension and hypoglycemia. So it is in the, we can say it is in the uh, chances of the shock hypotension adrenal crisis. So in this case, we have to take care of the blood pressure, and for this, an adequate sodium intake, plus you can use the normal saline solution, and plus 5% dextrose is very important here. Normal saline solution plus 5% dextrose, because saline will increase the blood volume and it will benefit for the blood pressure. And if you give 5% dextrose solution, so it will benefit for the hypoglycemia, because the patient having the hypoglycemia, so it will resolve the hypoglycemia. And next you can give hydrocortisone, oral fluorocortisone, and if the, as we discussed in the lecture, 50 milligram per day. Dehydroepiandrosterone in the morning should be given for the female patient who do not experience an improvement in the mood and well-being even with the adequate glucocorticoid and mineralocorticoid replacement. So what is the main committee of the treatment? To take care the blood pressure, use normal saline solution. To take care the hypoglycemia, 5% dextrose solution. And for long-term management, to treat the shock and hypotension, you need hydrocortisone, which is glucocorticoids plus mineralocorticoids activity, fluorocortisone, and last one is dehydroepiandrosterone for the female patients. How can you monitor? Just monitor for the physical symptoms. Just monitor for the resolution of the hypotension, dizziness, dehydration, hyponatremia, hypoglycemia, and hyperkalemia, and increase the dose if needed. Conversely, consider the decreasing the dose if there is any no hemodynamically stable. Same like that. This is the monitoring. Plus, if the patient is taking some enzyme inhibitors drug or enzyme inducer drug, as we discussed in the lecture, the dose is calculated accordingly. Would you like to change your management plan if your patient is exposed to stressful condition? Justify surgical operation. Yes, as we discussed before, increase the dose up to tenfold for 48 to 72 hours during the stressful conditions like the surgical operations, because adrenal crisis will occur when patient with the chronic adrenal insufficiency do not receive adequate glucocorticoids replacement during stressful conditions. Case 5. Now this is the case of the septic shock. I have instead of the read all the case, just I will explain you in the summary form. Now this is the case of the septic shock. And what is the septic shock? Septic shock, that due to the infection there is an the hypotension and the shock, hypovolemic shock. And we discuss what is the therapeutic use of the glucocorticoids. It is used in the treatment of shock, including septic shock. So now here I will not read the case because it will take too much time. Just remember here the bold one, septic shock. Now what is the question? Do you recommend glucocorticoids in the treatment of this patient with the septic shock? If no, justify. If yes, justify and mention the recommended regimen, including drug name, dose, and the route of administration. So, do you recommend the glucocorticoids? Yes, justify. Because glucocorticosteroids may maintain vascular tone in the state of the shock. It will increase the blood pressure and the cardiac output. So we can say in the management of the septic shock, the glucocorticoids is commonly used. Why? Because it will maintain the vascular tone in the states of the shock, increase the blood pressure. Because here in the case there is an hypotension and also increase the cardiac output. What is the recommended regimen? Give the name of drug. Which drugs are commonly used? Generally, dexamethasone is commonly used. What is the dose and route? Now, the septic shock is an emergency. We need the dose should be given by intravenous. So, route should be intravenous. So, you can give 1 to 6 milligram per kg intravenous once, or you can give directly 40 milligram intravenous every 2 to 6 hours as required. Case 6, the case 6 of the rheumatoid arthritis. Now, just I will read the case. A 56-year-old man was diagnosed with the rheumatoid arthritis 10 years ago. He has been experiencing increased swelling and tenderness in his hands and feet for the past 2 years. He made an appointment with his physician, who noted that his laboratory findings and imagings were suggestive of further progression of his rheumatoid arthritis. And he has been taking methotrexate, sulfasalazine, and hydroxychloroquine for the past 5 years and is not interested in starting injectable therapy at this time, but would like to try an alternative treatment that will help to alleviate his pain quickly. The question is, would it be appropriate to initiate glucocorticoids concurrently with methotrexate, sulfasalazine, and hydroxychloroquine therapy in this patient? If no, justify. If yes, justify and mention how corticosteroids should be dosed for this patient. Now, the drug of the rheumatoid arthritis are right: methotrexate, sulfasalazine, and hydroxychloroquine. Okay, but doctor wish to add glucocorticoids. Okay, no problem, because glucocorticosteroids having anti-inflammatory activity. So what will be the question answer? Yes, Glu- these corticosteroid or glucocorticoids are the potent anti-inflammatory drugs commonly used in patients with RA, rheumatoid arthritis, to bridge, to bridge the time until DMARDs become effective. Now, what is the DMARDs? DMARDs means, what is the long form of this DMARDs? Disease modifying anti rheumatic drugs, DMARDs. Now, what is the bridge the time? Because these drugs, which are these drugs? DMARDs, disease modifying anti rheumatic drugs are these: methotrexate, sulfasalazine, and hydroxychloroquine. This drug needs the time to be pharmacologically active. But during this time, we need the symptomatic treatment. And what is the main symptom? Inflammation, pain. So, how can we take care of this inflammation and the pain? We need here corticosteroids. So, that's why corticosteroids are the potent anti inflammatory drugs commonly used in patients with rheumatoid arthritis. And which is the most important drugs? Generally, prednisone dosages as high 10 milligram per day are typically used. What is the next question? Why corticosteroids given evening in the rheumatoid arthritis as opposed to the usual morning dosing? As we discussed in the lecture, in the patient of the rheumatic arthritis, there is and the nighttime pain, inflammation, and the morning stiffness. These are the main two symptoms, which are nighttime pain and inflammation, and in the morning stiffness. So to inhibits the nighttime inflammation, midnight inflammation, and to reduce the morning stiffness, we have to give evening dose, as we discussed in the lecture. Modified release prednisone tablet given in the evening. It releases the drug approximately 4 hours after ingestion, and it will deliver the drug during nighttime hours, so it will prevent the nighttime's inflammation and decrease the morning stiffness. It is generally opposite to the morning dose of the corticosteroid. In the chronic adrenal insufficiency and other states of the insufficiency, we are suggesting to use the morning dose high quantity. Near about near about 75% of the drug should be taken in the morning. In other cases, but not in rheumatoid arthritis. Take care of this note. Is this patient at the risk of developing glucocorticoid osteoporosis? Justify. Yes, if the patient taking the long-term therapy, osteoporosis is a side effect of prolonged use of glucocorticoid therapy, as we discussed in the lecture. What therapeutic interventions are available to prevent the osteoporosis in this patient? Give the patient vitamin D, calcium supplement, and bisphosphonate plus high protein diet to prevent the osteoporosis. There is another question. Would intra-articular corticosteroid injections be safe and effective treatment option for this patient? If no, justify. If yes, justify, and do you recommend re-injection of a joint? In my opinion, intra-articular injection is not a safe. No. My opinion is that the patient should use oral therapy first. If the oral therapy did not achieve the therapeutic response, then intra-articular injection suggested. Because in this case, we don't know the patient take oral medications or not, he relieved his symptoms or not, we don't know. So directly we cannot go to the higher gun. The best one take oral. If the oral the symptoms is relieved, no problem, continue. If it is not relieved by the symptoms, inflammation by the oral route, then suggest the intra-articular injection directly at the joint. Next case, Sandy, a 17-year-old white pregnant woman, 29 weeks of the gestation, is admitted to the obstetrical unit, which complains of the backage, cramp, and uterine contractions. She has no symptoms of preterm premature rupture of the membrane. A pelvic examination revealed that her cervix is 2 centimeter dilated and 80% effaced. Ultrasound reveals the fetus of 20 weeks gestation size with an estimated weight of 1200 gram. A diagnosis of preterm labor was made and tocolytic agent was given to Sandy. What is the case? The case is premature delivery, preterm labor, before the 9 month chances of the delivery. What is the question? Which tocolytic agent should be used? Now, this question is not related to our corticosteroid, but they are asking the question of the tocolytic agent. What is the tocolytic agent? These are the drugs which prevent the premature delivery, premature or preterm labor, and which are used generally magnesium sulfate, indomethacin, and nifedipine. Indomethacin is NSAIDs and nifedipine is calcium channel blocker. This is not our specific objective. Our objective is the second question. What medications can be given to help which facilitate fetal lung maturation in this patient? Justify and mention the drug regimen. As we discussed in the lecture, if the fetus is delivered or baby is delivered preterm before the 9 month, there is chances of the respiratory distress syndrome. So when the preterm delivery is anticipated, intramuscular betamethasone 12 milligram followed by an additional dose of 12 milligram during 18 to 24 hours later is given to the pregnant lady. What happened? It will increase the formation of surfactant in the fetus, surfactants in the fetus lungs, and it will prevent the neonatal respiratory distress syndrome. So what is this case? If the baby is delivered at the preterm, he is not able to take respiration properly due to the lungs are not developed due to preterm labor. So to prevent this, generally before the delivery, doctor should give the intramuscular injection of betamethasone to the pregnant lady. So what will happen? This drug will goes to the fetus via the placenta and increase the formation of the surfactant in the fetus lungs, and which will prevent the neonatal respiratory distress syndrome. And the last case, a 37-year-old obese woman with systemic lupus erythematosus has been taking 60 milligram per day of prednisone for 6 months. During this period, her weight has increased by 14 kg and she has experiencing glycosuria, means glucose in the urine. Her primary care physician provider asked her to start self-monitoring blood glucose. She was referred to the diabetic clinic where her pre-dinner and bedtime BC value were found to be 160 to 140 to 160 milligram per dl, and fasting blood glucose values were 80 to 105 milligram per dl. Physical examination shows 155 centimeter, 70 kg, depressed woman with truncal obesity and acneiform rash. Her mother and one sister have type 2 diabetics. What is the question? How do corticosteroid contribute to diabetic mellitus in this patient? Yes, we discussed in the our objective. Because corticosteroid decrease the utilization of the carbohydrate and glucose by the tissue and muscle, so the blood concentration of the glucose is increased, leads to hyperglycemia. This condition is due to increase in the gluconeogenesis, increase glucose new molecule genesis formation, which leads to decreased peripheral uptake of the glucose. The muscles and tissues, the cells tissues not utilizing the glucose. So where is the glucose? Glucose in the blood, and increase the blood glucose. How should diabetes be treated in this patient? Same as we discussed before, treat by the diet control and the short acting insulin. Secretagogue means the drug which secretes the insulin, or rapid acting insulin before meal indicated. So this is the case of the insulin diabetes mellitus. It means that the corticosteroid may causes increase in the blood glucose, leads to diabetes mellitus.